Hello and welcome from wherever you are watching to All Access with the Profs. I am your host, Jordan Weisinger, and we're excited to give you an All Access look into your Profs and the Rowan sporting news. Rowan field hockey has been in season since August 31st, but in their previous 2 weeks of play, the team has gone 2-2 with a goal differential of +5. The Profs faced two ranked opponents last week, suffering a heartbreaking defeat at the hands of the number 13th Bryn Mawr Owls. Our field reporter, Owen Caldwell, was with the team for their Saturday match against number 17, Shenandoah.
I'm Owen Caldwell here at Coach Richard Wacker Stadium in Glassboro, where today the Rowan University field hockey team suffered a 4-2 loss against the number 17 ranked Shenandoah Hornets. Ali Palumbo scored a goal for the Profs in the first quarter, which made it 1-0 Rowan, but then three straight Hornet goals made it 3-1 for the visitors. A goal from Gracie Merrick cut the lead to 3-2 in the third quarter, but then Shenandoah was able to go up 4-2 thanks to Mered McCribben's second goal of the game. The Profs finished with 44 total fouls in this game and 12 shots, 7 of them on goal. Up next for Rowan, they will welcome in Messiah here on Wednesday night at 6 p.m. I am Owen Caldwell from All Access with the Profs. Back to you guys.
Their next home game is against Messiah on Wednesday, as Owen just mentioned, on October 2nd. Rowan women's volleyball is coming off its first NJAC matchup of the year. The Profs went 1-2 during the 2024 Puerto Rico Clasico. They went 2-0 during the Matt Blatt Mitsubishi Profs Invitational and the Newman Invitational. Rowan went 2-1 for an overall record of 5-3. Since then, the Profs have been struggling, losing their previous 4 games. The girls look to put an end to the losing streak last Thursday against Muhlenberg.
Hello everyone, my name is Keegan Thompson. As you can see, I'm in the beautiful SB Gymnasium on the back of Rowan's 3-0 sweep over Muhlenberg women's volleyball. Our women's volleyball team served up a great win tonight on the back of senior setter Brooke Adams, who recently this season has made Rowan history. Adams has eclipsed the all-time assist record during her time here at Rowan. Prior to the match tonight, she stood alone with a remarkable 3,572 all-time assists. Still early in the season, she has a lot more time to extend the record even further. We spoke to Adams after the match.
In high school, I was finished just shy of 2,000 assists, so my goal coming here was to get 2,000. And after I saw what I did freshman year, I was like, oh, I can really go far. So my goal was to get the record. I really wanted to come to Rowan. They ask you in your recruiting process, do you want to be a big fish in a small pond or a small fish in a big pond? And I really wanted to be a big fish in a small pond, so I came here with goals. And just having coach behind my back, all the assistant coaches, we have the best coaching staff in the NJAC. We have the best, nicest girls in the NJAC, so just having all of them behind me doing this, props to all of them. Like, I love these girls with my whole heart, and just being able to break the record with this group of girls is really special to me.
Another bright spot on the clean sweep tonight, Team Libero, Vanessa Hutchinson, has surpassed the 1,000 total career digs mark, putting her place in the Rowan history books right alongside Brooke Adams. Back to you all in the studio, I'm Keegan Thompson signing off from SB Gymnasium.
The Rowan men's soccer team is certainly playing to impress this season. In 5 matches against ranked teams, Rowan is 1-2-2. 2 of those matches even came up against the number 1 and 2 ranked teams in the country. Rowan drew against number 2 ranked Cortland and only lost by a single goal, 4-3 to number 1 ranked Mary Washington. Their last win came against number 24 Johns Hopkins back on September 8th. The Profs were looking to break their 4-game winless streak this past Wednesday when they took on Messiah.
The Rowan's men's soccer team beat Messiah 1-0, and was all thanks to 2 key players in the victory, goalkeeper Dylan Appertel and David Caputo. Caputo scored the lone goal in the victory for the Profs in the 9th minute of the match. This was Caputo's first goal of the season. Appertello had a clean sheet in the victory and only allowed 1 shot on goal, with 2 saves that kept the lead for the Profs. Rowan was nationally ranked number 9, and with their losing streak dropped down to number 22. This win snapped a 2-game losing streak for Rowan that can hopefully gain back a more threatening national ranking and get a win streak for the Profs.
1, the Messiah Falcons 0.
I'm Sam Prince with All Access with the Profs. back to you guys in the studio.
That is going to do it for this segment covering the weekly wrap-up of Prof Sports. Now let's throw it to Aiden Doherty for his segment interviewing Rowan football's head coach, Pat Ruley, in Ruley's Rundown.
I am outside the team house with Rowan football head coach Pat Ruley. I'm Aiden Doherty for the first ever Ruley Rundown. How do you like that name, Coach?
Wow. You caught me off guard with that one. It's a genuine reaction. I like it. Alliteration is always something that I like. So
it's hard to find too many things with R after Ruley, but we were to get Rundown. We didn't want to be Ruley's Rules. It would have been a little.
Yeah.
Our great cameraman Julian Mazzarelli and producer helped pick that name. So if you like it or don't like it, you got to go to him. All right. So let's start off with where the Rowan football team stands. 2-1, and they are coming off a bye week, and now they have a game this Friday against Johns Hopkins. But it's been a pretty good start. 2-1. They started 1-2 last year, and now when you address this team or just look back at the first 3 weeks post bye week, how do you feel about your first 3 weeks here as the Rowan head coach?
it's been a little bit of a roller coaster, right? I think that that obviously the most recent game and having a bye week kind of in between has really let that taste kind of linger in our mouth a little bit. Obviously got the wins in weeks 1 and week 2, but if you recall kind of some of our conversations around those games even, and at the time some people might have kind of dismissed it as like, oh, like he's just being nitpicky, oh, like that's just coach talk. But, I've said like our ability to play 60 minutes and finish games and do those types of things, we weren't even doing those even in our wins, right? And so the first 2 games that we won, we certainly took our foot off the gas as the game progressed. And I said that against the best teams on our schedule, that's not going to be the way we're going to be able to operate if we want to have a favorable result. And we found that out the hard way, this past week. But, still working, still building. The attitude this week in practice has been pretty positive in terms of guys, I think, beginning to understand what those expectations look like. And I mean, we got a real world example of what happens if we don't prepare the right way, a couple weeks ago. So.
Yeah, and you mentioned the loss. Ursinus obviously 58-14, not ideal. You've seen Ursinus multiple times to be able to see how good their program is and kind of where it's headed as well. But you're heading into the bye week now, or headed into the bye week after the game, and now you're headed back into a game week. When you went into that bye week, was it, okay, this is a good time to get a refresher, or like you mentioned, man, this feels like a time where we need exactly to get back out there and just hit somebody else hard and get back out there into a game setting? Or did you kind of just feel like you needed the break?
So we pretty much operated the week as it was a game week, right? We had our Monday kind of post-game review, and then we kind of went Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and practiced, and those practices were super competitive. And I think that was something that really, regardless of the result of the game, was probably going to be where we were going to be. But I think really holding guys' feet to the fire on being locked in mentally, playing with an edge, asking leaders and position leaders and unit leaders to really start, holding guys' feet to the fire on how we operate, and that everything matters, right? Our shorts color matters if we're wearing uppers, like how we, where we put our helmet down in stretch line. Like, this is not a buffet style program where you get to pick and choose the player, what things that you feel like are important and what aren't. Like, we need to do everything to the letter of the law within the program if we want the football guys to shine down kindly upon us, because at the end of the day, like, the little things add up to being big things, right? You do anything how you do everything. And so when we operate in kind of like a pick and choose manner, then on Saturdays we're not in the gap we need to be in, or we're not in the zone we need to be in, or we're missing our read as the quarterback. And those are the little details that really, sway results on Saturdays.
Yeah, and you mentioned this multiple times when we talked prior to this, that, it's all about the little stuff you do. And, the team for the first 2 weeks, I mean, it was an excellent start. And obviously we talked about the Ursinus game a little bit. But not only that, but individually it's been an excellent start for Rowan. You guys have won now every NJAC weekly honor you can possibly win, with Isaac Jean-Baptiste winning the special teams honor after his 94-yard return. He also had a couple tackles on special teams as well. But you've won Offensive Player of the Week with Matt Wellesley. You won Defensive Rookie of the Week with A.J. Riker. Offensive Rookie of the Week with Luke Hoke. Defensive Player of the Week in the NJAC and Carter Williams. And you guys have done a good job individually and as a team. I mean, 2-1, it's better than a year ago. But obviously, I know as a coach, you say you're very nitpicky. But it's something when you look back and kind of see how far this team has come through 3 weeks, and also not just as a whole team, but individually. What kind of does that say to you if I told you 4 weeks ago that you guys would pretty much sweep the NJAC honors through the first 3 weeks?
I think we've just done a good job, as a team, coaching staff-wise, identifying playmakers, putting them in positions, and then guys executing. And again, some of these guys individual performance-wise, like Isaac last weekend, if we had 22 Isaacs, we would have been pretty small, right? But we would have had a shot to win the football game in terms of effort, competitiveness, buy-in, attitude, playmaking, like not shying away from the moment. And that's something we just need more of on the whole, right? Is guys being consistent. And I think that's really what separates great teams from average teams, from below average teams, is consistency positionally, consistency within units. And there's no doubt that we have some talent in the program, and you've seen some of that with some of these awards we've gotten and individuals making splash plays and having big-time performances. But, we are capable of doing this on a more, totalitarian level of our whole team executing at that level. And really now it's just about us being able to put that together for 60 minutes. But, yeah, some great individual performances, and, obviously, hopefully, as we head towards NJAC play, looking forward to some more, some big-time spots.
Yeah, we'll see if they can put it all together. Johns Hopkins on the road this Friday, and it's going to be a start after the bye week. See if they can jump out hot. But thank you once again for joining me this time on All Access with the Profs. But back to you guys in the studio for the first ever Ruley Rundown. I'm Aiden Doherty, and alongside me was Pat Rowley.
Thanks, Aiden. And Ruley's Rundown seemed like a great hit. I can't wait to watch it next week. But in the meantime, let's send it to the calendar segment with Jake and Skylar.
I'm Jake Clark, and alongside me is Skylar Sweeney, and this is a look at the Rowan Athletics calendar.
Beginning last week of Tuesday, the women's volleyball team lost a heartbreaking 3-1 against Stockton. Profs lost the first 3 sets 25-13 and 25-17 and won set 3 25-18. The Profs went back and forth with the Ospreys of Stockton, but dropped a tough 4th set 28-24. Hutton Cordy led the team with 8 kills and Brooke Adam had 26 assists. Vanessa Hutchinson also had a productive outing, leading the team in digs with 17.
On Wednesday, the Profs had 3 sports: men's soccer, field hockey, and women's soccer. The women's soccer game against Stevens ended in a 3-3 draw. The Profs got off to a hot start with Olivia Giordano scoring not 1 but 2 goals to begin the game. Both early goals were assisted by Liana Sanfelice. Sophomore Sarah Wiedemann scored her 3rd goal of the season in the 57th minute. The Profs halted a potential Stevens comeback, and senior keeper Callista Burke had 9 saves in the tie.
The Profs were off on Friday, but Saturday was a big day for Rowan Athletics. The first game on Saturday was the women's soccer team dominating Rutgers Newark. The Profs secured a 3-0 shutout victory in their NJAC conference opener. Liana Sanfelice and Sarah Wiedemann scored early in the first half, with Simone Passetti adding a penalty kick goal in the second half. Goalie Callista Burke recorded her 3rd shutout of the season, needing just 1 save on 3 shots. Rowan dominated offensively with a total shots, while Rutgers Newark goalie Angela Amaya made 10 saves.
The final game on Saturday, the men's soccer team ended in a 3-3 tie against Rutgers Newark, and it was also their NJAC season opener. Ryan Cleary's first half goal and Johnny Troiano's penalty kick gave Rowan a 2-0 lead. Cleary netted a 2nd goal later in the contest to give the Profs the lead, but Rutgers Newark's Eric Cortez recorded a hat trick to force the draw. Rowan's goalkeeper Dylan Aportella made 5 saves in the tie. As we wrap up action from this week, we flip to the calendar to look at next week's matchups. Coming up this week, on Wednesday, both men's and women's soccer face off against NJCU, with the men's team on the road and the women playing at home. The final game for Wednesday belongs to field hockey as they host Messiah. On Thursday, women's volleyball squares off at Ramapo. On Friday, the football team will travel to Baltimore to take on Johns Hopkins. And finally, both men's and women's cross country will go to Lehigh University to compete in the Paul Short Run. Women's volleyball hosts a tri-match versus DeSales and SUNY Maritime. Men's and women's soccer face off against Rutgers Camden. The men are at home and the women are on the road. And then finally, field hockey travels to Lynchburg to wrap up the week for Rowan. Skylar, taking a look at the upcoming games this week, which do you believe is the highlight game of the week?
I'm very impressed with the women's volleyball team. I have to give them my game of the week. They really had a tough stretch going on, and they improved, making their 6-7. They stepped up and really shut out Muhlenberg. Outside hitter Jenna Cole showcased well, and the setter had a significant contribution to the team. And if they just maintain the teamwork and keep up the momentum, they'll do well next game.
Well, I believe that women's volleyball definitely makes a case for the highlight game of the week, but I'm going to have to go with women's soccer between NJCU on Wednesday. The Profs are 6-0-2 and looking to defend their undefeated record at home against NJCU, who is 4-0-4 on the year, and are 1-0-1 on the road. Rowan is most likely going to look to work through senior Mackenzie Clement, who's having a dominant year, 8 goals and 2 assists on the season, and they're going to have to face off against the Gothic Knights to defend that undefeated record. And for that reason, that's my highlight game of the week. So now we're going to send things over to Kerry with our interaction segment. I'm Jake Clark along with Skylar Sweeney, and this has been your calendar for Rowan Athletics. We'll see you next week.
Thank you so much, Jake, Skylar. I'm Carrie Letizia. Alongside me is Enzo. Enzo, can you talk about a little bit about your position on the Motorsports Club?
Yeah, so I'm the frame team lead. So every year we build a new car. For those of you who don't know, we build single-seat off-road race cars and then compete nationally and internationally. So every year we build a new chassis, and I'm in charge of designing and building that.
And now who can be a part of this club? Like, do you have to be in a certain major? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so anybody from any major can be a part of the club where you can come, maintain, drive, and compete with our already built cars. And then as an engineer for your engineering clinic class, you can from scratch design and build these.
That's awesome. And can you talk about what you brought here today? What are these things?
Yeah, so this is my TIG torch. So this is one of the things I use to weld. Since I'm on the frame team, this is probably the thing I use the most. Next, this is the steering wheel with our data tracking sensor on it. So this gives us all data, RPMs, speed, change in elevation, everything. Got a wheel. It's one of the wheels and tires we use on the car, and the engine that we use inside the car. It's a 14 horsepower Kohler.
And watching you bring it in, it looks heavy. How heavy do you think that is?
It's like 100 pounds.
100 pounds?
With the oil in it, yeah.
Is there oil in it right now?
I hope so. It's our spare engine, I hope so.
And you just carried it in here?
Yeah.
Do you have to do things like that a lot where you're like really lugging around a lot of equipment?
A lot of us have trucks, so we bring things to and from the shop. We have a shop in the engineering building, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you're in the major, you're the one actually building the car if you're in the class, right? Mm-hmm. So talk about that. Like, it's your junior year. What is the process?
Yeah, so throughout your junior year, it's the design and build phase. So for your first semester junior year, you are designing the car. You start in the beginning of the summer and do all your research. During your fall semester, designing. Spring semester, you're manufacturing. So I go through building the frame, everybody building their control arms for suspension, the gearbox for the transmission, and then we put all that together kind of going into your senior year. Then throughout your senior year, you're racing, competing, testing, tuning, fixing things, redesigning, really everything we need to do to make the car better.
And now, this seems awesome, like real world experience that you're getting. What does this mean for you to be in the major and having something like the Motorsports Club available to you at Rowan?
Yeah, so in an engineering sense, I've learned more from just Baja than I have from all of my classes combined, really. Being able to see something from a design all the way to actually beating on it and testing the limits of it, you get to see the full design and engineering processes, and you see what works in design but not in manufacturing, and then how your manufacturing can hold up or can't hold up in the long term. And as a part of the club, getting in as a freshman, I didn't really know much about cars or engineering or driving or really anything.
Yeah.
So learning that throughout the way was incredible, and really anybody can get into that. So whatever major you're a part of, if you're interested in cars, you can learn.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Enzo. I'm Carrie Letizia with your interaction segment of the week. Back to Jordan to finish out the show.
Thank you all for tuning in to All Access with the Profs. I'm Jordan Weisinger, signing off.